Speaking of that, I got to clean my bed sheets. They're soaking wet. Next up, we got what we call the tequila shot. And Pasty, we know when you're in the bar which shot the tequila shot is.
It's the most impactful.
Oh,
hits you like a ton of bricks.
Oh my gosh. It drops my pants right there.
Yes, indeed. And once again, this goes to a promotion and not a individual.
And a promotion that deserves it. We got to give that to AEW.
Yes,
even
indeed.
Though they've only been around for half of this year. And we even prefaced a lot of this shit. It's like, oh, they've only been around half a year. They can't do so much. Nothing else made as much of an impact as AEW. Fox
changed the landscape
Network,
of wrestling,
maybe.
Yeah.
But Fox Network is not wrestling. They just did a lot to wrestling.
They
AEW.
got NXT on USA and pay raises for everybody on the brand. So I'd say that's pretty good. Impact didn't do that for anybody.
No, they didn't. But definitely AEW made such an impact this year just by becoming the second, third competition to WWE ever. They've done something nothing else has ever done. No other pro wrestling company has started at the second place position. And of course, saying the second place position is arguable, but I don't think it's arguable. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it definitely does. It's subjective for sure. Depends on where you're sitting. But at the same time, they've changed the landscape. They are competing with NXT, which is WWE, and it's not just a brand for farming superstars anymore. It's its own brand in WWE.
Well, not only that, they've got two shows. One is a broadcast cable show. They have pay-per-views that they've signed up for. What did we say? 6 a year?
Yep.
I think is what we said. I don't think no other company's ever done that. When WCW was bought by Ted Turner, it was NWA for decades before that. It was Jim Crockett Promotions for decades before that. So it's not like they started there, and they still didn't even have that. When TNA started, they started off as weekly pay-per-views that got minimal buys. And I'll admit, I was one of those every now and then that would buy some of them. But they were minimal buys, and then they went to Fox Sports Network, and then they moved on. There's never been, since WrestleMania, there has never been a pro wrestling company that started at the head start that AEW has had, and that alone is impactful.
Yes, it is. It's also inspiring, but it's not our inspiration of the year. No, that award goes to somebody who arguably ruined WCW.
Arguably.
But he's turned the ship around, and he's done some wonderful things in the last 365 days in the world of professional wrestling. And, of course, that honor goes to the David Arquette.
Woo! Dude, Pasty, you know how many people listening to this don't even know who David Arquette is? Does anybody know Courtney Cox Arquette? Anybody? Raise your hand. You in the back there.
They know Friends. They don't know David, even though he was in an episode or two.
Friends? David Arquette?
Courtney Cox.
Well, I know Courtney Cox was in... What?
She was in Friends. You said, who knows Courtney Cox Arquette?
Okay.
They know
so
Friends.
Okay. Well, we're really connecting the dots here now. How about Scream? That he was a star in for all of them?
His best movie.
No, Scream. Let's go with Scream.
Ready to Rumble.
Scream. Ready to Rumble. We're going with David Arquette. The man has been a pro wrestling fan his entire life. He was put in an uncompromisable position that he couldn't say no to back in his WCW days, where he actually won the world title as an actor.
Thank you, Vince Russo.
Thank you, Vince Russo. He then lost the title, but took all of his proceeds and paid them towards the Owen Hart Foundation, and took care of Owen Hart's widow and her kids. So we give him credit for that.
And then he kind of disappeared for 20 years.
But then he came back and he joined a pro wrestling school. He got back into pro wrestling. He got into hardcore wrestling. Basically, he started winning titles.
Yeah, I don't think there's a match type the man hasn't competed in this year. He's been hard at work all across the board to redeem himself and to redeem pro wrestling for the people who claim he ruined it.
And, as we mentioned a few weeks ago, he's got a new documentary coming out that is profiling his return into pro wrestling and how much it actually means to him. This is a guy who is a celebrity, albeit a C-list celebrity, but he's living better than you and I are living, Pasty.
He's got that Scream money. He doesn't need to be wrestling.
He's doing good, and he's going out there and he's jumping through glass plates and into thumbtacks and barbed wire, and this is shit he doesn't have to. This is something he wants to do.
Yep, he goes hard. He is showing respect for the industry and everything that makes it, and he definitely deserves this award.
And that's why he gets it.
Yes. Congratulations, David Arquette.
Woo! Then we go to Male Wrestler of the Year, Pasty. Why don't you take this one, because it's going to sound like I'm sucking the dick of his ghost if I do it.
Well,
He's not even dead yet.
He told me this had to be the Male Wrestler of the Year. No,
I said
that. Adam Cole, baby. I mean, what else is there to say? He leads the faction of the year. He does so with authority. He's like a skinny young Triple H. And he's the best thing going on the WWE umbrella at the time. I hate to say that because I love The Fiend.
Yeah, but it's true. As far as in-ring and out-of-ring and promos and charisma and everything, Adam Cole could be the next Triple H, and Adam Cole should super stay in NXT. Does that make any sense?
Yep. And then he should marry Triple H's daughter.
What if he marries Triple H's daughter. I'm sorry.
They gotta be fairly close.
I was gonna say, what if he marries Triple H and Stephanie's daughter? But that's basically what you said. Oh my gosh. What if he marries Linda McMahon? Oh my gosh. Wow. What if he marries Shane?
Only in Vince's wildest dreams.
Oh, Vince would love that. And then you take my daughter and you grab her titties. Vanilla titties.
Yeah. And you smother them with chocolate.
I want that Hershey syrup.
No wonder he doesn't like vanilla midgets. He doesn't like vanilla midgets, just chocolate titties.
Vanilla. It's chocolate titties, not vanilla.
That's got to be a t-shirt.
Yes, the chocolate titties, no to vanilla midgets.
It's got to be a greater than equal to thing. Like chocolate titties are greater than vanilla midgets.
I can dig it. Oh my god.
That's a moneymaker.
That's just too much. Vince, we're gonna put Finn Balor in the main event of WrestleMania. No! He's just a vanilla midget. I don't like vanilla midgets. Well, yeah, but he's gonna be in there against Tyra Banks. Chocolate titties! Oh! Can you have Finn Balor bang my daughter? Whoa! There you go, Vince.
Congratulations, Adam Cole.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Now on to the female wrestler of the year, who surprisingly hails from the same sector of WWE in NXT. Wow. Which completely gives it away, right? Because who else has had a calendar year like Shayna Baszler?
Dakota Kai! Oh, sorry.
That's next year.
Oh my gosh.
No, probably not. Ripley's next year. Maybe Mia Yim.
Ripley's, believe it or not. Shayna Baszler, it's hard to argue Shayna Baszler. She is a legitimate badass, an MMA wrestler.
Most dominant women's champion in NXT history.
Multiple times.
Yes.
Multiple times. She's a 2-time NXT women's champion. She is the Ronda Rousey to NXT, but the Ronda Rousey
She's
that
better
WWE
than Ronda
deserved.
Rousey. Yeah.
She's there.
Yeah.
I mean, she does it. She follows through.
And she can talk. That's a big thing.
She's getting better at talking. That's something her and Ronda have in common, is they need to work on it, but they never had to do that in their past career. But she is farther along than Ronda is. I'll give her that. Yes, she can be the leader of the 4 horsewomen. Shayna Baszler could, with Ronda being like the oomph, the enforcer.
Ronda should be like the reluctant second, because then they can always boil over. And that would be amazing. Rousey Baszler, a main event at WrestleMania. Let's have that.
I think that would be great.
From the years to the decade, as we look back even further, we get into the female of the decade. And I'm going to let Fat Mac take this one, because he's got all the things to say.
I can say things, folks, and they exist.
It doesn't mean they're true.
No, we're going with Taya Valkyrie here. And I think if you're looking at the whole decade, okay?
Yeah.
She has held more championships, more titles, more accolades within this whole decade than any other female wrestler has. You can look at somebody like Tessa Blanchard, who I am a huge fan of, and would get behind and would say, she would deserve it. You can look at somebody like a Ronda Rousey, who gave so much exposure to pro wrestling that never existed before.
Well, my
Charlotte
first round
Flair,
chip,
Becky
my first round chip in
Lynch.
Charlotte Flair. But I agree with you. Taya Valkyrie has been a established standing force. Charlotte's not always at the top of her game.
This year alone, she has had the AAA Reina de Reigns, which is the Queen of Queens championship, 3 times. She was Lucha Capital.
It's Roman Queens?
Yeah, basically. Roman Capital. Or, shut up, Roman. Lucha Capital, which is 2018, which meant that she was the best of the women's at that time. Knockouts champion multiple times. DDT Pro Iron Man Championship multiple times. She has held so many championships this whole year. And she is just now starting to become big and starting to become famous, and I get that. But as far as the competition, WWE has just started having the best women wrestlers in the last 5 years or so. She's been going around. Yeah, and those women, let's be honest, those women in NXT, WWE are only facing, for the most part, the women from the United States. Every now and then one from Mexico, every now and then one from Canada. Taya Valkyrie has been going to Japan. She's been going to China. She's been